This is mathematical economics, and one of my followers sent me this question to assist him in solving it. So the question is some simultaneous linear equations. Simultaneous linear equations. So here is the question. Solve 6x plus 8y equals 35 and 4x minus 2y equals minus 6. That is 6x plus 8y equals 35 and 4x minus 2y equals minus 6. So I'm going to solve this question now. So solution. So there are different ways of solving this question, but the method that we are applying here is what is called elimination method. Okay, elimination method. So the first thing is to rewrite the equation and number them. So the first one we have 6x plus 8y equals 35. So I call that equation 1. So then the second one I have 4x plus, so 4x minus 2y equals minus 6. So I call that equation 2. So I call it equation 2. So irrespective of the method I want to apply, so it's advised to first write out this equation like this and name them equation 1 and 2. Now I'll be using elimination method. So using elimination method. So in using elimination method, what I'm going to do is that I want to eliminate either of the terms, either the term that contain x or the one that contain y. What am I going to do? I can choose to multiply. If I want to eliminate x, I will multiply equation 1 here by the coefficient of x in the second equation and multiply the coefficient of x in equation 1 by also multiply the coefficient of x. I will also multiply the equation 2 by the coefficient of x in equation 1. But if it is y, the term that contains y I want to eliminate, so I'm going to multiply multiply equation 2 by this equation 2 by the coefficient of y in equation 1 and multiply equation 2 by multiply equation 1 by the coefficient of y in equation 2. That's what I'm going to do. In other words, so here, let's choose to eliminate the term that contains x here. Now, if some go to say equation 1, that is equation 1, let's eliminate x. Equation 1 multiplied by, because I want to eliminate x, so I'm going to multiply equation 1 by 4, which is the coefficient of x in equation 2, and also do the same thing equation 2 multiply by the coefficient of x in equation 1 by 6. So now let me multiply equation 1 by 4. You multiply this by 4. 4 times 6x, I'm going to have 24x I'm going to have 24x. Then 4 times 8y, so I'm going to have plus 8y, I'm going to have 32y. Then equals 4 times 35. 4 times 10, I'm going to have 1. 4 times 35, that will be 140. So I call this equation 3. Equation 3 now because it has changed. So do the same thing for this one. 6 times 4x, I'm going to have 24x. Then minus, I have 6 times 2y, I'm going to have 12y. Then equals to 6 times minus 6 here. 6 times minus 6, I'm going to have minus 36. Let me call this equation 4. Okay. Now, I've now looked at the way of eliminating it. You can see the only way to eliminate this term that contains x is to subtract equation 4 from equation 3. Okay. Why? Because if I say 24x minus 24x, that will cancel, that will become 0. So this term will go. So Now, that's what I'm going to do. We say subtract equation 4 from equation 3. So in other words, I'm going to have 24 minus 24. So what I'm doing is that I say minus this, minus, then minus. So 24 minus 24, that will become 0. Okay, then I move to the next one. I have, you can see I have plus 32 here. Okay, then I have minus 12 here. So minus times minus, that is plus. So in other words, I'm going to have 32y, that is plus 32y. Then this one becomes plus 2 plus 12y. Then that one becomes equals to 140. Then I have minus, and I have minus 36 here. Minus times minus here, that is plus. That becomes plus 36. So I can add this. If I add this one becomes 44y equals 140. 140 plus 36. 140 plus 36, that becomes 176. Then what I'm going to do now is to divide both sides. Let's divide both sides by the coefficient of y. Okay, what the coefficient of y is 44. By 44, then I have 44y over 44 equals 176 over 44. Okay, this cancels this. I have y equals 44 here 1, 44 here 4. So in other words, I have y equals to 4. Okay, this is the value of y. So to get the value for x, I can just substitute the value for y into either of the equation here. Whether I choose equation 1 or equation 2, I'm going to get the same answer. So let me do that. Let me use equation 1 from equation 1. So I have 6x plus 8y equals 35. Equals 35. Then plug in. Okay, plug in y equals to 4. So in other words, we are going to have 6x plus 8 into bracket y, which is 4, equals 35. Then we have 6x plus 8 times 4 is 32 equals 35. Okay, now this, we connect the like time, we have 6x equals, we take this to this side, we have 35 minus 32. Okay, then we have 6x equals to 3. 6x equals 3. So the next thing is to divide both sides by the coefficient of x. So divide both sides by the coefficient of x, so I have 6x over 6 equals 3 over 6. So this cancel this, we have x equals 3 here 1, 3 here 2. So I have x equals to 2. Therefore, we have x equals 1 over 2, y equals 3. So here is the final answer. Okay, so we can confirm, we can check whether these answers are correct by just plugging in this value into this equation, whether you are going to get 35 minus 6. So in the next video, I will be using the second method, that is substitution method. Thank you. See you in the next video.